On to the pro qualifiers now, as we've got some great racing action to take a look at here. As the top 10 riders are seated heading into the first moto of racing on Sunday, but on Saturdays, riders have to actually qualify in order to make it into the main. And then a hot lap. Looks like Josh Creamer gets a little bit sideways coming up that big step up there. We call that the gulch here. And it gulched him for sure. Swallowed him right up. Put him on his head and flipped him around. The important thing is he's okay as we take a look at it in the ITP replay. And he gets back out there and starts in the qualifier. And actually fares quite well, as we'll see. As the gate drops in our qualifiers, we said the top 10 rider in points are seated and don't have to qualify. If they're outside the top 10, then we see them qualifying, and there one of the qualifiers we see is the 199 of Pat Brown as he gets off to a strong start here. Right behind him, a rider we normally don't see qualifying, but Tim Farr, coming off of that injury last year in the back surgery, is opening up with a second place position on the opening lap. He's on the motorsport.com Baldwin Motorsports Honda back there, and he and Pat Brown get things rolling here in the opening lap with a pretty good battle. It's Pat Brown, Tim Farr back in the number 2 spot, and then we've got jockeying for position going on back in the number 3 spot. I believe Kramer back there aboard the number 270, as well as several other folks. That's Richard Pelshot actually now up aboard the number 46 that has moved into position. We've seen Chad Wienen out there, Travis Spader, whom we didn't necessarily expect to see out here, but as we take a look one more time, the battle for the lead continues to heat up here at Budds Creek. It's round number 5 of the 2006 ATVA National Motocross Series, presented to you by Parts Unlimited. It's the ITP Moose Racing ATV National Motocross Series. I'll say special thanks also to our friends at Suzuki and ATV Sport Magazine. Look at this battle as Farr is actually going to make the pass on Brown. Will he be able to hold on to it as they head around the turns there? And the battling continues. Tim Farr now out front in our qualifier on this Saturday, and Pat Brown has been taken to school by the elder statesman out there on the motocross track. Jeremiah Jones having a sluggish start to this qualifier. He's going to have to come back out in the LCQ to try to make it as a part of one of the top 3 to transfer into the second moto. Tough break for that Suzuki pilot. And that battle continues to heat up between Farr and Brown. Brown taking the lead back just a moment, and then Farr strikes right back once more, so it's seesawing back and forth, and Richard Pelshot back there in the number 3 spot is watching it all unfold. He's waiting for either one of these or both of these riders to make a mistake that he might be able to pass both of them and get the gimme into the number 1 spot. Big air by Farr as he makes the big uphill jump there, and the battling continues. Yamaha pilot now knocking on the door. Back there in the 3rd place position is Richard Pelshot. Pelshot has moved into second. What happened to the number 199 of Pat Brown? We were looking there. We see Brown was running second. Now Pelshot has moved into the number 2 spot as Brown has lost some time out there. And now we see Tim Farr and Pelshot going at it. It's one of America's greats and one of course, Canada's greats going at it head-to-head. Pat Brown has dropped off the 3rd. Harold Goodman off to a strong start here in this qualifier aboard the number 708. But B is buzzing back in 4th place as he does have one of the qualifying positions at least in hand early on, as we are in now, as things have really started to sort out quite a bit and changed since moto number 1. We saw the battle between Brown and Farr. Now it's turned out to be between Farr and Pelshot in the number 2 spot. With now here comes Brown. He's throwing his hat back into the ring, side by side up past the finish line region there, and Pat Brown moves into second, Pelshot 3rd. Now up to 4th place, Chad Wienen, and Harold Goodman drops off Lugar in the 6th, Rocco Arnold 7th, Trent Candle in 8th place. But again, only the top 7 riders are going to transfer here. We'll have an LCQ where we'll take the top 3 from. And those are positions that those riders don't necessarily want to start from. But the good thing about this is no matter how you finish here on this Saturday qualifying, all you got to do is be a part of the top 10 whenever this race day is all said and done, and you've got your position on the gate. Now, it might be a little bit of bad luck on the draw for you come Sunday morning, about noon or just before noon, whenever you start making those choices for the gates out there. But the important thing is that you are out there, and it's not going to count against you in your moto scores on Sunday in Moto 1 and Moto 2. Tim Farr, though, showing that looks like he may be back on track out here at Budds Creek. I know this is one of the racetracks that he's been looking forward to racing this year, and coming off of that surgery in the offseason there, he's still a little bit stiff, so you got to wonder if things are going well for him here in this qualifier. Will he be able to last the entire 20 minutes plus 2? We got a battle shaping up still for the second place position, which has turned into a three-way battle between Pelshaw, Brown, and Wienen, second, third, and fourth. And back there in that number 5 spot, rider number 708, the Bumblebee, Harold Goodman, not far off the pace behind him right now. The number 8 Yamaha, Jason Luberg, out of Zanesville, Ohio, as these top riders jockey once again for one of the top 7 positions to ensure themselves a place on the starting gate for Moto number 1 at high noon here at Budds Creek. As the ATV racing continues here, it is Farr and Pelshaw still holding on to a solid second place position, I believe, unless Brown was able to get around. Looks like Brown did get around, and now the 44 of Wienen has moved into a third place position. So we see some changes taking place again. Farr, Brown, Wienen, Pelshaw drops off to 4th. Goodman still in the number 5 spot, and I believe it's still the number 8 of Jason Luberg back in the 6th place position. Again, 7th place still up for grabs as they continue to jockey back there. That final transfer spot is becoming a hot seat on the race course as far as Saturday afternoon racing is concerned here at Budds Creek in our 5th round of the ATV National Motocross Series. But Tim Farr looking like maybe things are finally starting to click. The only question is going to be is his endurance comes Sunday when Moto 1 and Moto 2 gets underway and the temperatures begin to soar here. It's a little cooler on this Saturday, still warm, but we're expecting temperatures to be a little bit warmer on Sunday's racing. Lap number 3 now in the history books, or actually working on lap number 3, trying to put it in the history books. Wienen has moved into the number 2 spot now aboard the number 44, and again changes taking place back behind Wienen as we see at one point the 199 of Pat Brown was running in the 3rd place position, but it looks like maybe more changes have taken place. I believe Pelshaw has moved back up one more. Goodman is now running 4th, and it looks like that number 8 of Luberg is rounding out your top 5 as we are near the halfway point or just past the halfway point of this qualifying race. This is a 10-minute plus 1 lap moto is what it translates into. And look at this. Chad Wienen coming on strong here in this 5th round in this qualifier as he is challenging Tim Farr aboard the number 4. He wants to take the win here, and he looks like he feels like he might be able to pull it off here this weekend. He actually seems to really like this race course, and we've seen some good riding out of Wienen so far in this 2006 season, but hasn't really been able to put together a podium finish just yet. But he's working on it here in this 5th round as he's side by side with Farr, and now Wienen takes over the lead. Farr drops off to 2nd place, but again, this is not going to count toward the overall. It's more of a ride for pride as it's Wienen, Farr, Pelshaw, Goodman, and Luberg rounding out your top 5 with 4 laps now in the history books. So take a look at that Parts Unlimited leaderboard. We'll get a good look at Wienen now out front aboard the number 44. As they see some yellow flags out there, they're going to have to tiptoe through this section of the race course as we do have a rider that is in trouble kind of off to the side of the track. They get that situation sorted out, and back into racing they go as they wind their way around the hillsides in the valley here at Budds Creek, Maryland. A very unique race course in itself, and it's actually going to play host to the 2007 Motocross Des Nations in September. So looking forward not only to great ATV racing here, but the Motocross Des Nations, the world's top motorcycle motocross pilots, will be invading this facility in just a little over a year. As we head around the race course once more, looking back, still Wienen out front. Wienen actually beginning to stretch things out just a bit as Tim Farr seems to settle back in 2nd, but it's not much of a settle there as he has got some company coming up hard and fast behind him. It's going to be a fight to hold on to the 2nd place position, and that's doing Wienen a big favor. Not only is it doing him a favor, but it's also boosting his confidence for this weekend's racing. Once you can get up front and battle with guys like Tim Farr, it has to give you a lot of confidence. Look at this. Looks like Goodman is actually going to take advantage of the battle with Pelshaw and Farr and move in at least momentarily into 3rd place. Now into 2nd as he sweeps the outside out of that first turn region. Can he hang on to it as Goodman now moves into the number 2 spot? Farr drops off to 3rd, and Wienen still with a big comfort zone between 1st and 2nd here in this Saturday afternoon of qualifying. Still back in the number 2 spot is where things are hot. Tim Farr, Harold Goodman is back in third as they switch back and forth. Pelshaw in the 4th place position. Then it's Brown, and Rocco Arno now has moved up into that final qualifying position in the number 7 spot. Rocco Arno rides aboard the number 101 machine. But it looks like it's going to be all Chad Wienen, this number 44, unless some sort of mechanical error happens or rider error and causes him to drop his speed and momentum that he's got going around this course. Right now, he is on a rail, and it is going to take quite a bit to derail him at this point. Still the battle for second. Look at this. Look how tight this is. The 2 Hondas going at it. Bumblebee, Goodman, and Farr neck and neck as they come in and out of some of these turns. Farr moving into second. Then it's Goodman, but on the final lap, we're going to see how this all breaks down as Wienen makes his way around on this final lap of racing. As you can see behind him, the battling continues to heat up as they make their way down this ski jump now down Henry Hill. And Goodman still not able to make that pass stick on Farr at the bottom of the hill. Goodman goes to the inside, Farr on the outside. He's got the momentum as they charge toward the finish line now. Wienen will take the checkers and the win. And the second place position as we take a look is Tim Farr, Goodman, Pelshaw. It is Luberg, Brown, and Arno rounding out the top 7. Then Jones, Spader, and Creamer. Yeah, Jones and Spader making it in the LCQ.